Another shooting incident in Chicago, just days after the Washington Navy Yard massacre.
And an independent film is co-produced by a former City College professor. Find out more about Short Term 12.
An A-list Hollywood movie star is planning a theme park. When it will be ready.
And will the overcast stay for the whole weekend? I'll have your weather forecast. Newscene starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Briley Oaks.
And I'm Charlie Veramontes. Thank you for joining us. A mass shooting in Chicago left 13 people injured, including a 3-year-old toddler. The shooting occurred on the south side of Chicago at a pickup basketball game just days after the Navy Yard incident. Witnesses at the scene described dreadlock gunmen shooting at the crowd in what police believe to be gang-related. All the victims have been hospitalized, and police say it is a miracle there were no fatalities. Chicago has been plagued by gun violence with 500 deaths last year. Many residents are on edge as the bloodshed continues.
And there are new developments today about the mental state of D.C. shooter Aaron Alexis. Dallas Richter is here now with what had happened over the past week. Dallas?
Thank you. Yeah, Briley, Charlie. So it appears his employer knew he was mentally unstable and even called the residence inn where Aaron Alexis was staying to express concern and to get him checked out. Authorities are still trying to find the missing link between what his employer knew and why he was still allowed to keep his security clearance.
Washington Navy Yard returned to work yesterday, but the shock of the tragedy has far from worn off.
We'll see what the day brings. I'm not exactly sure what's going to entail. Hopefully some normalcy.
Terror and confusion Monday as shots rang out through the naval base in D.C.
So I knew it didn't look like a fire drill because everyone was terrified looking. And so we just immediately started being confused and scared and shaking.
In the end, military contractor and veteran Aaron Alexis, armed with a shotgun, killed 12 people and later died in a shootout with police. Now, new reports are surfacing about the mental state of Alexis. Last month, he told Rhode Island police that he was hearing voices and was arrested several times for incidents involving guns. Even so, he was still granted access into the Navy Yard.
Mr. Alexis had legitimate access to the Navy Yard as a result of his work as a contractor.
The White House is now calling for an examination into the background checks required to become a military contractor.
There was insufficient vetting by the contractor that, if it had been done, would have revealed many of the red flags.
In the wake of the tragedy, Aaron Alexis's mother spoke out, condemning her son's actions.
Aaron is now in a place where he can no longer do harm to anyone, and for that I am glad.
And while the investigation continues, we may never know a motive behind these deadly acts of violence.
Monday's tragedy has already reopened a national conversation about gun control, mental health, and safety in the military. Now, you may remember after the Newtown shooting, lawmakers wrote gun control legislation, but it never passed. So we will be keeping an eye on the development of any new legislation that may come out of this incident.
Okay, thanks, Dallas. We'll make sure to keep an eye on that.
Thank you, Briley, Charlie.
12 families are left in anguish after the shootings at the Washington Naval Yard. The victims of the Washington Naval Yard shooting were civilians and contractors who had just began their day. Though their lives were cut short when Aaron Alexis opened fire, leaving 12 families grieving.
It's not possible that they shot him for no reason. He loved his country, he loved the Navy, he loved flying. He was just a happy person.
President Obama is expected to attend a memorial on Sunday at the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. for the 12 victims gunned down in the building 197. Monday's mass shooting in Washington has once again put gun law reform in the spotlight. The Newtown Action Alliance is in Washington this week to mark the 9-month anniversary of the Sandy Hook shooting. The alliance held an emotional press conference Wednesday urging Congress for stricter legislation. As gun violence in America worsens, many feel frustrated at the lack of the new gun control measures.
And lawyers for a North Carolina police officer says he was justified in shooting an unarmed man 10 times, killing him shortly after he survived a car crash. Officer Randall Carrick is charged with voluntary manslaughter in the fatal shooting of 24-year-old Jonathan Farrell. Farrell, who had played football at Florida A&M University, was unarmed and looking for help after a serious crash. Investigators say officers were in the area responding to a breaking and entering call at the same time. When they arrived, they saw a man matching the description that ran towards them. One officer used a taser, and when that didn't work, Officer Carrick shot his gun 12 times. Farrell was hit 10 times and later died at the scene.
While some students take advantage of the financial aid system, others are left to feel the repercussions. Newscene reporter Joe Ham has more with that story.
It's slimmed down since the beginning of the semester, but what is the reason after the long wait lists and crash lines in classrooms? The reason is simple. Financial aid checks have arrived.
I noticed that in the beginning it's always packed. Usually no open seats available, and then afterwards you see like half the class is gone.
Offenders may not realize their actions affect others, even those who don't get financial aid.
I feel it's unfair for, students that are hardworking. It's my last year here, and it took me 3 years of hard work just to finish.
While some students take advantage of federal funds, others are feeling the financial squeeze even after obtaining high GPAs, but due to taking more than 90 units are automatically disqualified from receiving federal aid.
I have to petition every year to get my financial aid, and I think that now that I found what I want to do, and now it's become a struggle, whereas before when I had no idea and no direction what I was doing, they were handing me money.
Even as students struggle to understand the financial aid system, City College Financial Aid Director Gregory Sanchez says the government and college financial aid office are cracking down on financial aid scams.
We do look out for certain students who may be trying to scam the system. We've stopped those students. We've turned their names over to the Office of Inspector General, who has investigated it. They have had some convictions of students.
With strict penalties now being enforced, City Financial Aid is confident that funds will now fall into the hands of deserving students. With photojournalist Maria Souza, I'm Joe Ham, Newscene.
For more information or questions on your financial aid, stop by the City College Financial Aid Office, room A113.
City College is honoring the memory of slain student Diana Gonzalez. Next week, students will come together to paint a memorial mural for Diana and celebrate her life. The event will take place Wednesday, September 25th at the Gordon Quad from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and is open to the public.
City College has lost a beloved family member. Professor Jim Colbert died on Wednesday. Professor Colbert was a health and fitness instructor for nearly 30 years. He was well respected by his students as well as professors and staff. He was instrumental in bringing the martial arts program to City College. Jim Colbert was also a former NFL player. Professor Jim Colbert will be greatly missed. And soccer's UEFA is underway, and what a show it was, thanks to one player.
And we have some of sports top plays of the week that will have you scratching your head.